Yeah, I was talking to a student, I say a student that looked like they were in their early 20s. This was about 2 weeks ago, amidst all that was going on. And I just asked them as they were walking down the sidewalk over here by the office, I said, hey, I just was curious. It looks like you guys are really fighting for justice. And he said, absolutely. And I said, I'm with you. I'm 100% on board. I'm curious, how would you define that? And it was so interesting just to kind of watch this young man try to attempt justice, try to attempt to define justice. And he said, just make things fair. Well, what's that?
Yeah, that's a great example, because I think, I used to say back in the 90s when I would give talks or engage with college students that we were in, at that time, a bumper sticker culture in terms of how we dialogued. Think in our day back when they had the ichthus on cars, right? So you have an ichthus that someone put on a car, and then someone would decide to put that evolution ichthus on, and it's eating that fish.
Right.
And then somebody else would respond with this larger school of fish that are or the shark that's eating. But that described the way in which we would converse with one another, right? Yeah. We all had our bumper sticker slogans, but as you dug down like you did with that gentleman below to more foundational questions of, what do you mean by that slogan? He couldn't get very far. Yeah. And today, I think with social media, I think it's actually exasperated, where we're now not a bumper sticker culture, we're a meme culture. We have our great memes that we're throwing out in response to one another, and people high five one another. Oh, that's great how you took that person down. But they couldn't get two questions beyond that in terms of how they think about that. And I think that's a real problem.
Yeah. You said something before we started the podcast today, which I really loved, and that was this idea of having a conversation to try to show how a conversation should happen, and helping people to see an example of how to think together.
Yeah.
You and I, very good friends, known each other a very long time. We don't land on the same positions on a number of issues.
Sure.
But that has never kept us from just thoroughly enjoying this dialogue.
Actually makes it more fun.
It makes it more fun, because I honestly look forward to what you're about to say about something, because I always learn something. I walk away and I'm always going, God, that was interesting. And I follow up with something that you say, and hopefully it's vice versa at times.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably much less with you doing that than me, but I think that's what's missing. And even like with this young man, I could tell a level of frustration brewing fairly quickly with him. The moment you tried to I was trying to press him a little bit. Tell me about that. What do you mean fair? So how do you know what's fair, right? And then at that point, very easily, you can begin to see that he doesn't like where his answers are going. Because then when you give some counter examples, well, is this fair? Because that applies to what you just said. Well, no, and then they get frustrated.
Yeah.
And that's part of the problem, is I think people aren't patient enough to really think through what they believe.
Yeah, and it crosses over several sectors of society. I mean, certainly as you think about the good society and politics and thinking in general, it requires, by necessity, humility to understand that the world's larger than my brain, and there's things I don't know. And so if I enter into every conversation with this sense of, I have something to learn here, instead of something to just say here, that can transform things. But at the heart of democracy is this virtue of coming together through compromise. And I worry that our state of not just discourse, but even how we think about things politically, when we're not that deep, when we're just on the slogan level, we're not set up to be able to compromise, precisely because I'm not spending time to understand your point of view, to even understand how could I give in order for you to get.